And we sincerely thank you for your prayers. We do. I take this opportunity also to just say a huge thank you for your thoughtfulness and kindness. My wife and I tell her we're spoiled. We are absolutely spoiled in many ways, but by this congregation, by our pastor, and we appreciate your thoughtfulness very, very much. My notes for this testimony are somewhere by my recliner at the house. And so anyway, I had it right down to about 4 to 5 minutes. He said I could take 20, but I figure through the years, I owe this church a few minutes back, probably. So anyway, when we talk about Southwest being birthed 66 years ago, that's a number significant to me because this church had been in existence about 3 months when I got saved 66 years ago as a 6-year-old boy. And so that's a very, very special time. And I like to think back and have often driven where the church used to meet on about 15th and Blackwelder and still go by there out of my way a little bit every once in a while just to reflect and think back of the humble beginnings of this wonderful congregation. And as I think back, if you'll think about 1951, right in the middle of the Korean War, and there are people that mention about our day and time and the tumultuous world in which we live and the times and the confusion and the danger and such as that. And maybe there are a lot that don't recall that those too were troublous times. And the Korean War was going on shortly after that. The 1950s was the time of the rock and roll revolution, which was a major player in the sexual and social revolution of our culture and society, and we're still living with the fruits of that right now in this day and time. And then, of course, into the 60s, the Vietnam War came, and I'm just telling you, there was social and racial and military upheaval and threats and dangers everywhere in this country. And here in this neighborhood, God planted Southwest Baptist Church, and it is His. I never forgot that. During the wonderful years I got to pastor here, this is not my church. This was never my pulpit. This is His church. You're His flock. And He planted this church here. And obviously, it would be like almost any church anywhere that's tried to do more than serve as a social club, a Christian social club, that has actually tried to evangelize and disciple and baptize believers and disciple them and try to help people. Well, you look back and say, I wish we could have had more impact. I wish we could have done more. But my wife and I noticed that as we go about the city, when we get to be here, and it's been quite a bit here lately, but when we get to be here, thank you, Pastor. Okay, didn't want to get in trouble, you know. The guy before, if you drank his water, it was bad. And we can't talk to hardly anyone anywhere and speak to them about the Lord or about their church life. But yeah, I rode the bus there, or my kids go there, or used to go there, or yes, I got saved there, or I got baptized there. And so probably the impact is greater than any of us know. I just know that no matter how we might measure the impact of a congregation in this area, besides the missions and besides evangelizing the world, no matter how we try to measure it, this church exists here in very troublous times, like the days in which it started. There is tension and there is strife and there is confusion in the world. And the boys and girls that are growing up in this area, in this neighborhood, and all through South Oklahoma City need today exactly what they needed when God established His church in 1951. And the families that will assemble here need exactly what was needed when this church began in 1951. And I just want to challenge the church and say thank God for you, the congregation. I want to encourage our pastor. I'm going to do everything I can to continue to encourage him that as this congregation has resisted all the fads and the winds of change that cause the church to completely lose its identity, to just keep doing what the church has been doing since 1951. And I want to say I thank God for our pastor, and I pray for him, and going to do everything I can to encourage him. I want to give thanks to God. I doubt if Bruce Harrison is in here in this service, probably working with children, but his father, Bert Harrison, is the longest tenured pastor in the history of this church, and we owe so much to the ministry of Brother Bert Harrison, the 29 years that he pastored this church up until 1990. So many of you are aware that you're a part of what I believe is an exceptional congregation, but there's so much more to do. And as God is faithful, let's return our gratitude by being faithful to him. God bless.